Yeah. Yep. So I think that's all my housekeeping stuff every Monday. I want to tell everybody in case you're new, but we've got lots of people I see on here that join us every Monday. So welcome back, everybody. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Michaels. All right, well, we can get started and we'll just see how it's going, making sure everybody has enough time if you're painting along, and I will answer questions.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Like Kira said, my name is Jessie. I'm going to be teaching you guys this beautiful rose painting tonight. So I'll let you guys know what supplies you're going to need for this painting. All right, so the canvas I have tonight is a 10 by 10 canvas. But if you have a rectangular canvas, that'll work too. I would suggest doing it landscape as opposed to portrait, because as you can see, our roses are going sort of lengthwise here, so it just might be a little bit easier for you. You'll just have less room on the top and bottom, which is totally fine. And we are using these Craft Smart brushes, which this is the 7-piece variety set. And it comes with just a bunch of different sizes, which I love. I can use it for all of my paintings. We've got a flat brush here. It comes with a nice medium round brush and a few little brushes as well. So just have a few brushes on hand. I think we'll mostly be using a couple of flat brushes, probably a large and small, and then probably this small round brush a lot as well. So make sure if you don't have this exact pack, you have something at least similar to these three. So again, a larger and a smaller flat brush, and then a small round brush. So just make sure you have something kind of like these guys. Excuse me. And we also have our palette paper here. So this is just wax coated palette paper that you can get at Michael's. I think this is in like the fine art section, and it's for mixing your paint on, but you can use a paper plate or a styrofoam plate, whatever you like to put paint on. We've got paper towels for cleaning up. We've got our water basin here for cleaning our brushes as we go. And then like Kira said, we're gonna be using our FolkArt acrylic paints tonight, which is our favorite paints. And the colors are gonna be engine red, but any red is fine for this, any just regular, you know, true red. We've got hot pink, which is a really fun, like bright, super hot neon color. But if you don't have this color, that's fine too. You can just mix a pink if you don't have this exact color. We've got wicker white, but again, any white will be fine, just any white acrylic paint. We've got our daffodil yellow, or I'm sorry, medium yellow, but daffodil yellow works too, so just any true yellow. We've got thicket, which is a really deep green color, or you can use hunter green. Hunter green works well too. And then last but not least, we've got navy blue, which of course is just a dark blue color. So if you have something similar to those, but not exact, that's totally fine too. You can totally substitute any of these colors if you wanted to do more pink roses, if you wanted to do, you know, a different color background, it's totally up to you. So feel free to substitute as we go. Any questions yet, Kira?
People are just asking about the brushes. What brushes we'll be using, the sizes.
Okay, yeah. We've got a 3/4 inch flat. So any flat about this size, an inch flat is fine too. We'll be using that one for a little bit of base coating. We've got our number 8 flat brush, which as you can see here is just a tiny little flat brush, or a 1/2 inch flat is fine too. Like I said, anything similar to these is fine. And then we've also got our number 5 round, which is sort of like a liner brush. It's a little bit big for a liner brush, but anything similar to this. We'll be using this to paint all of these petals and stuff. I'll move that in. To paint all the petals and stuff in our roses. So just make sure you have something similar to this. So those are the 3 brushes I'm pretty sure that we'll only be using tonight.
Yep, I'm gonna put them right here in the chat.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess we can get started painting. You think we're ready?
Yeah, let's get going. Everybody's good.
Okay, cool. All right.
So and people are asking the colors, but I was just going to let everyone know, Jessie will repeat when she puts the colors on her palette or when she puts them on the canvas. So she will walk you by step by step, walk you through step by step.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime that I use a new brush or I use a new color, I try to make sure that I say that before we start painting, so I can make sure everybody's got it ready to go. All right. So that being said, we're going to start with our white. So again, I'm using wicker white, but any white is fine. This is just the white that I like to use the most in our FolkArt line. So to get started, I'm going to grab my 3/4 inch flat brush, which is the larger of our flat brushes. And I'm going to put a little bit of paint on my brush, and I'm going to put a very thin coat of paint. It's going to be hard to see because my canvas is white on the top third of our canvas and on the bottom third of our canvas. So we're going to leave the middle raw. We're not going to paint the middle. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to start blending this blue into it. So we want that white, that fresh white on the canvas. And then after, we're going to blend the blue into it. So right now, like I said, you can't really see what I'm doing. So I want to make sure that I say it so you guys know what I'm doing in case you missed it and you looked up and it looks like I'm not painting at all. We're going to paint the top third of our canvas with white and the bottom third of our canvas with white. And you can see I'm dipping my brush in the water every once in a while. If you feel like your brush is dragging a little bit on the canvas, if you're in a really dry area and your paint is drying really quickly, just dip your brush in the tiniest bit of water and that'll help your paint glide more smoothly across the canvas. And the reason it does that is because the FolkArt paint is really rich and creamy, which is why I love it so much. It's great for mixing colors and it has great coverage, but it does dry pretty quick and it can be a little tough when you're base coating. So just dip your brush in water and then it glides across the canvas. And again, we're just doing the top third and the bottom third. We're just kind of ignoring the middle for right now. Nothing fancy, you want a nice thin coat. Just a nice even coat of white. And you can see it, we're not like taping it off or anything, we're just sort of eyeballing it. You don't have to measure it or anything like that. And again, it depends on the size of your canvas. If you have a rectangular canvas and you're doing it horizontally and you're doing it in a landscape orientation, then you might be doing less white because you'll have less room. You want to save room for your roses. So keep that in mind. And again, we're just painting the top third and the bottom third with white. And then we're going to move a little quickly into the next step. And I try to, slow things down for you guys, but the reason we're going to move quickly is because we don't want our paint to dry. We need our paint to stay wet. So as you can see, I have that wet paint on the top and bottom portions of my canvas. I'm going to clean my brush off because I never want to leave paint in my brush. And we're going to put some navy blue onto our palette. So navy blue. Just a little bit we need for now. If you don't have navy blue, any blue will work. Your painting will just be a little bit brighter for the background, but that's okay. I'm going to grab my number 8 flat. So this is the smaller of the flat brushes we talked about. My number 8 flat. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of navy and starting in the corners, we're going to start blending it in. So you can see I'm making little brush strokes here. I'm just trying to blend it in to that white that we just painted, and I'm starting in the corners. You can see here, I'll show you on my palette, I'm just making little strokes like that, and we're going to be blending it in. And the reason we're going kind of quick, guys, is because we need to work while this paint is still wet. So if we slow down, we're not really going to get the effect that we're looking for. So we just painted the top third and the bottom third with our wicker white, and now we're using our small flat brush to blend our navy blue into the wicker white, starting in the corners. You can see where the white paint is wet, it's really starting to blend really beautifully. Oops. Again, I'm just focusing on the corners. We're going to work our way into the middle. You don't want a ton of paint. So if you feel like you have a lot of paint on your brush, you see I just went ahead and I wiped off some excess paint. I felt like I had way too much paint in my brush. And the more paint you have in your brush, I say this a lot, the less control you have over where the paint goes on your canvas. So I don't like to have a ton of paint in my brush while I'm painting. So you'll see me, I'll wipe off excess paint quite often. Again, we're just blending it. We want it to get lighter and lighter as we go to the center, as you can see here in our final painting. So that's why we're starting in the corner and we're doing less and less paint as we get towards the center. Less and less blue, I should say. You can see again, sorry guys, I'm working a little quick for this part just because we can't let the white dry underneath or else you won't be able to get that beautiful blendiness. That's not a word. That beautiful blending that we want.
Totally a word.
I'm like, what is the word I'm looking for? I can just
It
make
is
one
a
up.
word now.
Oh gosh. So like I said, we're working a little bit quick just for this first step because we really want that white paint to stay wet while we're blending.
And so I just put in the chat, everybody, the link for the michaels.com, the community classroom pages. So you can click that link or just go to their class and events, and it's where you registered. All the classes will be available there after the fact, after this class, and then all the past ones are there.
Yeah. If you're new tonight, thank you so much for joining us. We're really glad you signed up for our class.
Yeah.
And if you are a returning class taker, we're so excited to have you. We have a lot of people who have been joining us every week for many weeks now. So we're so excited that you keep coming back to watch us paint. That's awesome.
Class taker's a good one too.
I know, I don't know what's wrong with me tonight.
Somebody just said you guys make up words in all the classes. The best is when it's about like an animal part or something, like we really know what we're talking about.
Yes, we are not so good with the anatomy, that's for sure. Oh man, at least we acknowledge that we're making up words. And we at least know that they're not real words. I feel like that's good.
This is a safe space.
That's a step in the right direction.
It's a long day on Monday, you guys.
It's true, it's true. So you can see, guys, I'm doing adding less and less of the navy blue as I get towards the center, and I've really focused the darkness on the corners, and we're getting lighter as it goes into the center. So just keep that in mind. My white is drying a little bit, so if you feel like you need to be adding a little bit more white, if it's starting to get a little bit, for lack of a better word, crusty, like I'm starting to get a little bit draggy here, it's getting a little gooey, that's not what we want. We want our paint to flow really well. So we want to add a little bit of white. We don't want to be pulling paint back up as we're going. We always want to be putting paint down. So just add a little bit of white to your brush if it's starting to dry towards the center. And again, that's why we were working kind of quickly, because we were trying to avoid that, but it's okay. Again, I'm wiping off excess paint whenever I have too much paint on my brush. Oops, too much blue. And this part does need to be perfect. If you feel like yours doesn't look exactly like mine, don't worry. You can see that this one doesn't even look very much like my first one. It'll look a little different every time you do it. So that's okay. Depends on the artist, depends on, you know, when you're painting it. So don't worry about that. It doesn't need to look just like mine as long as you're happy with it. We're just going to blend it in until we sort of get to that pure white in the center.
Someone's asking if they can use floating medium if they have it. I think we've had that question before.
Yeah, if you feel like you need to use floating medium, I'm not even really using water or anything to blend it. If you are like a really experienced painter and you feel more comfortable blending colors with floating medium, then by all means, go for it. But as long as you keep your paint wet, as long as you work a little bit quickly, you shouldn't need it. If you really, like I said, if you really are having trouble keeping your paint wet, then yeah, go ahead and add some floating medium. Okay, and like I said, we don't want to put too much paint. We want to have just enough paint to sort of cover the surface of the canvas. So we don't want to be globbing it on. You can see I'm wiping off excess paint a lot onto my paper towel. Like I keep saying that, but you just want to make sure. I never want to have paint like globbed onto my canvas, unless that's the kind of painting we're going for, but that's not really what we're going for tonight. And if you feel like you want to go back and add some deeper blues in your corners, you can too. I feel like I want mine to be a little darker, so I'm just going to add a little bit more blues into the corners. How's everybody doing, Kira?
Good. People are just painting.
Awesome.
I'm just looking. People are looking for last week's class. So
Okay.
I don't know. I would just say check back. I don't know if we have the right people on here from Michaels, because they would be the ones that would load that, but they should be on there. So I don't know. I can in a second here, go ahead and look.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while for them to get it up. They might just be running a little bit late since it's only last week's. Then it'll be on the next day or so.
Yeah. And then someone's asking, what is floating medium? So floating medium is a medium that you add to your paint. It's clear and it extends the dry time. It keeps your paint wet and moist.
The open
time. Yep, open time on your paint. So it allows you to blend and manipulate it and move it around longer if you apply the medium.
Yep. So like if you're used to oil paints, if you're an oil painter or you have an experience with that, oil paints stay wet for a very long time. So for some people it can be a little tricky switching from oil paint to acrylic paint because acrylic paint dries so quickly. It just takes some practice trying to get used to the nature of it. So people will use floating medium a lot of times and add it to their paint, and it kind of works like an extender. So it keeps your paint wet for longer. So you can work with it more on your canvas. It doesn't dry so quickly as you're painting. So it's a good tool. FolkArt makes a really great formula of floating medium. Okay, so I'm getting some fresh paper towels here. So once you have this, once you get to where you kind of like it, you can see, so I've got dry canvas here in the middle. I've got my blended areas in the top and bottom, and this is all dry here. And the reason we did that is because we want to be able to start painting our roses right away. So a lot of you will ask, you know, could you paint all this first and then hit it with a hairdryer and paint on top of it? Yes, you can always do that. Sometimes we like to avoid that. We just kind of like to keep on going through. That's kind of just my style of painting. I don't like to have to stop a lot. And of course, these classes are a little bit quick. They're supposed to be about an hour. So that's why we're leaving that dry, just to answer anybody's questions. Okay, so for our roses, we're just gonna start really simple. We're just gonna start with the shapes of the roses. I'm gonna grab some of my engine red, which again, any red will be fine. You can see it's just like regular pure red, so whatever you have at home is totally fine. Oops, I'm just dragging my fingers through paint. So I've got my engine red on my palette, and I still have some navy blue left, but if you don't have navy blue, go ahead and add some back to your palette now. And I'm going to grab my number 8 flat brush, and that is the brush that we were using to do the blending. So number 8 flat, just a tiny flat brush, or if you have like a 1/2 inch flat, that works well too. I'm gonna pick up some of my engine red, and I'm gonna start by mixing just a little bit of navy blue into it. Just a little bit to start, because it'll go a long way, I have a feeling. And we're looking for sort of like a burgundy color.
Maybe you can hold it up to the camera, or maybe just so people can kind of see the shades you're getting, because typically I feel like we mix white or black, so this is really like a color you're creating.
So hopefully you can see that. It's sort of like a burgundy color. So I did engine red, and then I did just the tiniest bit of navy blue. And so it's kind of purpley, but it's more red than that. It's sort of a burgundy color.
Yep. So give people, they're saying they're taking them a second to mix it.
Yeah, no, take your time, guys.
Yep. So it's just navy and engine red.
Yep, engine red and the tiniest bit of navy. And I'm gonna tell you guys right now, before you get too stressed getting the exact color as me, we're gonna be mixing a lot of different red colors for these roses. So if it's not perfect, if it's not just like mine, that's okay, because we're gonna have so many layers. We're gonna be painting so many petals onto these roses, like I said, with lots of different versions of red, that everybody's is gonna be so different. So as long as it feels good to you, as long as it looks like a burgundy, then don't stress. It does not need to be super perfect. So while you guys are mixing, I'm gonna just mix a little more of the exact same color, just so I have more of it. So again, it was engine red with just a touch of navy, just a touch. The navy goes a long way. It makes it really dark really quick, so we don't need a lot of it. And then while everybody's mixing, just so you know, whenever I mix, I always use my brush to mix, which really you should probably use a palette knife or something like that. But again, I like to do these paintings super quick, so I kind of do some shortcuts. But whenever I do mix with my brush, I always wipe off the excess. Because like I said in the beginning, the more paint you have on your brush, the harder it is to control the paint going onto the canvas. So you always want to have just a minimal amount of paint in your brush, just enough to paint whatever it is that you're painting. You don't want to have just globs of paint in your brush. All right, I think we're ready to paint the roses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna pick up some.
Sorry, just real quick. It was the engine red and the navy blue is what Jesse mixed.
Yep, it was mostly engine red with just a touch of navy blue. Okay, so for the roses, we're gonna start by painting sort of this big rose here. And again, yours doesn't need to be just like mine. You can totally have your roses in any order you want. I'm gonna try to follow my original one a little bit, but you put your roses where you think they look good. You're welcome to follow mine, that's totally fine too, but don't feel like you have to. Okay, so I'm gonna start painting my first rose, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint a circle. That's it. All I'm gonna do is just paint a circle, and it doesn't need to be perfect. And the reason it doesn't need to be perfect is because we are about to make it imperfect anyway. We're gonna make it look sort of irregular on purpose. So just paint a circle. You can see I'm just using the edge of my brush to get this shape. So just a plain old circle, and then I'm just gonna fill it in. Nothing fancy. Plain circle, and I'm gonna fill it in. That's it. So you can see how super simple that was. And then when I was talking about making it irregular, is I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna make the edges a little lumpy and a little wavy. And the reason is because, of course, the rose isn't going to be an exact perfect circle in nature. So it's gonna be, each rose is gonna be super different. So we're gonna just make it a little bit irregular on the sides to make it a little more natural looking. Really no rhyme or reason to it. We just want it to be an irregular shape. So can you see how I did that there? Sort of just like this blob. It doesn't look too great now, but I promise I'll show you how to turn it into a rose. So I just didn't want that perfect circle. That was too perfect. So I went back and we made it less perfect. So we're gonna keep painting these. Again, like I said, I'm gonna try to follow my original composition, but if you wanna do your own composition, that's totally fine. We're just gonna start painting more of these circles in different sizes, and we're gonna try to fill up this area. And you want your flowers to be pretty close together, but you do wanna leave space in between for the greenery. So pretty close together, but like I said, leave space for the green parts. So we're just gonna start painting more of these irregular circles using the same brush and the same color. And feel free to mix more of that color if you need it. I have a feeling I'm going to need to in just a minute. And that's okay. If you can't get it perfect, that's fine, because every rose is not the exact same color. They all vary, they all are different. So just try to get it similar and that's fine. Doesn't need to be perfect. I'm gonna mix a little more. Like I said, I already ran out. So again, engine red, which is a touch of navy. And I'm just painting these irregular circles that are going to be sort of the base shape for our roses. And we're going to be adding tons of layers onto these roses. So don't worry if they're not perfect. You can see mine definitely aren't perfect. I've got some sort of rough edges around them, and that's not bothering me because we're going to paint so much on top of them. I just want to sort of get the placement of my roses planned out. I want them all to be different shapes and different sizes. Just like if this were a rose bush. And we're kind of going off the edge here. And like I said, they're pretty close together and they're not really touching because I wanted to leave room for our greenery between them. And I'm mixing more of this burgundy color, this color that we mixed as I go, as I need more. And again, not making it perfect, just trying to get something similar each time. And a lot of people are really intimidated by painting circles. They just don't feel like they've had enough practice to make their circles perfect. So if that's you, then this is the painting for you, because you want your circles to be imperfect. You don't want no perfect circles in this painting. That's not what we're looking for.
You do look like, I mean, complete expert just whipping those circles out, Jesse.
I'll slow down a little for you guys.
Yeah, I would give people a chance. You make it look so effortless.
I mean, I do have a lot of practice, so there's that for sure. I have painted this exact painting before, but truly, this is one of those steps where you don't want to pay a lot of attention to it. You kind of want to go quick, because the more you think about it, the more perfect they're going to be. The more perfectly spaced, the more perfectly shaped they're going to be. And that is not what we want. We want them to be totally random and totally organic looking. So sorry if I'm going a little faster than you guys like to go. I'll try to slow down, but you really should be doing these kind of quickly. You don't want to spend too much time and thought on them. I'll give you guys a minute to catch up. I'm just gonna go through and sort of touch up, since I've got some time, I'm just gonna touch up some of my shapes. Just sort of spread it out where I feel like some of the paint is too thick, because I want a nice even coat of paint.
Everyone's painting.
Awesome. I love that you guys paint along. That's really exciting. We got some good comments going on, Kira. Any questions?
We do. No, I'm just chatting back and forth. Everybody's painting. I think they're too busy.
Well, good, good.
Everyone's saying it's relaxing.
Oh, good. Painting should always be relaxing. Painting should never be stressful.
You do the stressful part, coming up with the paintings.
No, it's never that stressful. It's a lot of fun doing these paintings. I'm really excited that I get to do these paintings, and we get to work with Michael's community classrooms, and we get to paint with you guys every night. I feel super, super lucky that you guys join us each week. It's just so much fun.
It's amazing to watch how it's grown the past couple months.
Yeah, it really has. We started with just a couple hundred people watching us live, and now last week we had nearly 1,000 people watching us live, which is just awesome.
You guys, we want to break 1,000 next week. So I think it's too late now, but everybody sign up and you got to join next Monday night. It's Labor Day.
Log in on your computer and your iPad and your phone.
That's our goal. We were 10 away last week, guys. We're trying to get to 1,000.
Which is funny because we never thought that would be a goal. We were like, oh, 200, amazing, so many people. And then we got close and we were like, now we can taste it. It seems like an insane goal, but we're just excited you guys want to join and want to paint every week.
Yeah, maybe John can grab the Farmhouse Pumpkins too. You can show at the end.
I was literally about to say that. I think there might be one on my desk. Thanks, John. Yeah, we can show you guys next week's painting, which is one of my favorite paintings that we've done here at Plaid. And a lot of people love it. So we're just jumping into fall. We're going to be painting some pumpkins. Yeah.
Oh, I love everyone's like, I'm signing up, signing up.
Awesome. It's a really fun one. And a lot of people, I think, are scared of palette knives. So if you look at the event listing in the supplies, there is a palette knife, but it's not going to be palette knife painting. We're going to be painting with a brush. We're going to be adding some details with the palette knife. So if you see that, don't let that deter you if you're more of a brush painter and you don't like painting so loosely. But we're just going to be using the palette knife a little bit for details. So make sure you still tune in. Okay, what do you think? Do you think people have their circles painted in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So once you have your circles painted in, while John is grabbing the painting for next week, we're going to start mixing some different reds and just adding in some layers. So we're gonna start, we have sort of our darkest color. We're gonna start building it up all the way to the lightest color. So to do that, we're gonna mix some more of the red and the navy, but we're gonna use even less navy this time. So I'm gonna grab some engine red because we want it to be lighter than the color we mixed last. So our light color, and then just the tiniest little bit of blue. I know you can't really see what I'm doing, especially on Zoom, but I just have like the tiniest corner of blue that I dipped my brush in. And we're gonna mix that into the red. We just wanna make it slightly darker than the original, maybe a little bit more blue. We want something between the engine red and between this burgundy that we mixed. So I always like to add just the tiniest bit of the darker color and sort of see if I like it and then add more. Because of course you can always add more, but you can't take away. Just sort of a rule of thumb when mixing colors. And the more you add, you're just sort of wasting paint, because then you got to add more of the light color to make it lighter, and you just keep going back and forth. It's like a tug of war. So I always like to start with just a little bit at a time. See, I'm going to grab some red because I already got too dark. It's really easy to do. And I'm going to bring it back to a little bit lighter. I'm going to grab some more engine red. Thanks. Thanks, John. So this is our Farmhouse Pumpkins. We want to go to the, I'm going to go, oh, there we go. This is Farmhouse Pumpkins for next week. So make sure you guys join. It's a really, really super fun painting. It's kind of fun, especially if you have like a fall home decor, you know, if you're putting your decorations out soon, this is a really fun one to hang on your wall for the fall season. So make sure you join us for this one next week, next Monday. It's actually Labor Day, so people probably aren't traveling as much. So hopefully you're looking for something to do and you can join us next week for this painting. So I'll set it over here and let's get back to our roses.
But tonight we're painting roses.
Tonight we're painting roses. Okay, so I'm gonna put some more red in. So again, we're looking for a color. You can kind of see on my palette here, hopefully. I can lift it up again if it helps you guys. We're looking for a color between the burgundy that we mixed and our just regular engine red. So hopefully you can see there, I'm trying to find that sort of perfect red. I don't want it to be as bright as the engine red, but I don't want it to be as dark as the burgundy. So hopefully you guys can kind of see. It's definitely not as dark as those there, and it's not as bright as our engine red. So that is what we're looking for. So just something in between those two. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean my brush off because I just was using this brush to mix. So now it's time for us to switch over to our round brush that we talked about in the beginning. So this is our number 5 round brush, just sort of a small to medium size round brush. So we're gonna pick up some of this color that we just mixed, some of this medium red color, and we're gonna start painting petals. And to do this, we're gonna be doing a lot of layering. So it's a really simple way to paint a rose. It's just gonna give it a little bit of dimension without having to do lots of, you know, double loading of your brush and lots of floating color. That can be really hard to do. Sometimes roses really can be pretty tricky to paint depending on how you paint them. So this is a super, super simplified version of painting a rose. And so I'm about to show you how to do it. I just don't want anybody to be scared. Okay, so like I said, we have our number 5 round brush, and we have our medium red color. And we're gonna start by painting lines. I'm gonna start right down here with this rose. I'm gonna paint a line following the bottom edge of my rose. So just inside, I don't wanna go right up to the edge, just inside the edge, I'm gonna paint a line, I'm gonna follow the shape of it. So it's probably tricky for you guys to see, it's pretty subtle. I don't even know if you guys can see that, can you? But I painted a line right here along the bottom edge, just following that exact shape. And like I said, it is pretty subtle, but I can see it really well in person. It's a little tricky to see on camera. So just right on the bottom edge of that irregular rose shape that we painted. Can you see it, Kira? I feel bad that you guys can't see it that well. In person, it's pretty red.
Yeah. And you're using a number
5 round.
5 round.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna paint lines just on the inside, the bottom inside of our rose shapes, just following the bottom shape of our roses that we painted, just right on the bottom. And hopefully you can see yours better in person. If you can, if it's really blending in, add some more engine red because you do want it to pop off of this color. You don't want it to be the same color. See, in person right now, I can see it's much redder in person, but I have the camera view in front of me and I can see that it's hard for you guys to see on Zoom. So make sure that yours at home is a different color. Mine definitely is. Again, I'm just going on the bottom edge, and I'm not putting too much pressure on my brush. We're just doing a single line of paint, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It can be kind of loose. We're just following the shape of the bottom. So here, let me show you guys here, just so you have a better idea of what I'm doing. I'm afraid that it's too hard to see. So say this is my rose, okay? This is my rose on my canvas, okay? I'm taking this medium color and I'm going right on the inside of the bottom and I'm just following that shape. So hopefully that gives you guys a better idea. Sorry, the Zoom isn't super clear. So if my flower looked like this, then I'd be going right on the bottom inside of the flower. You see that? Just following that shape. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you can see that much better. Just one line, because we're gonna be adding a lot more lines. So just a single line, sort of acting like a petal. We're just sort of building up this color, creating some texture on each of our flowers. So just take a minute to go ahead and do that for each one of the flowers that you've painted on your canvas. How's everybody doing, Kira?
Good, just painting along.
That's
I mean, yeah, we're chatting about the brushes and where to watch the videos after. So,
okay, great.
Everybody's good. Yeah, I'm just posting links.
Awesome.
Maddie said her husband is painting with her because isn't painting with her because he's jealous of her skills. I love that.
Well, that's good. That must mean you're a really good painter, but tell him not to be jealous. All of these paintings are beginner friendly and he should definitely join next week. That's really funny though. My husband probably wouldn't want to paint with me either.
That was an evil laugh.
Yes, that was John laughing evilly. My husband likes to paint those little miniature figurines, like for like games and stuff like that. And he will not take my advice on painting them whatsoever. He only likes to watch YouTube videos of people painting those specific figurines. And whenever I try to help him, he doesn't let me. He might be watching right now. So we'll see if he has any angry comments, Kira, let me know for calling him out.
And you can say husband now, which is fun.
Yes, it's weird.
Dan, my husband's been to a couple paint nights when we used to do them in person.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I do miss doing them in person, but I am really glad to get to do them here with you guys too. So there's definitely a lot more friends in these paint classes than there were when we did them here at Plaid. Okay. All right, so let's keep moving, guys. I don't want this class to take too long. So we painted our line just inside, just in the bottom inside of the rose shapes, just like I showed you here. This is the only thing we did. We just painted this line. So now we're going to take the same color and we're going to add even more of the engine red. Because like I said, we're going to keep building it up. So right now it's a little bit lighter than pure engine red. Again, I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to see the difference in the colors on Zoom, but it really is a much different color. I'm gonna wipe off some of that excess paint. So we're gonna take this one and we're gonna paint some more shapes on the inside of our flower shape. So here, I'll show you. I got this lighter red. All I did was just mix a bunch more engine red into it, just made it a little bit lighter. I took that same color and we want a new color that's lighter. So it was this medium red that we had, and we mixed more of the pure red into it. And we mixed it up. So it's just a little bit lighter than the last color we mixed. And we're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna keep adding lighter colors and building it up until we eventually get to these nice light pinks that are on the tops of our flowers. So with this color, I'm gonna show you guys some of my little example flowers here. We're gonna go right on the sides here. We're gonna do some layering. Right on the sides there, can you see? So on the left and right, we're gonna do some more petals. So say this was your flower shape. We're gonna do some lines here on the sides, still following the shape of our original circle. So hopefully you can see that.
And what colors did you mix, Jessie? People are asking.
So this was the medium red that we had, and we added more of the engine red. So the color that we just used for our lines, we're mixing more red into it so it's even lighter. And so we're just doing lots of layering. It's okay if it goes on top of the lines you already painted. These are gonna be totally layered. They're gonna be stacking and they're gonna be overlapping, and that's what's gonna make it look like real rose petals. Because of course in a rose, it's not perfect. They're not perfect little soldiers, the petals. They're all over the place. They're overlapping. They're folded in, amongst each other. So we're doing lots of layering. So I'm doing my petals right on the inside, the left and the right side, just like I showed you here. We're gonna do that. Of course, it's gonna be different for each flower because all of them are different shapes. We did that on purpose, but I'm gonna be doing these petals just right on the inside, on the left and right side. And I'm gonna be following the shape of the flower. So let me see if you guys can see that a little better. See, as we're just sort of gradually getting lighter, you can start to see our flowers are starting to look much lighter. We're sort of building up that color. It's much less subtle in person. Again, we're just going on the left and right sides. We're doing the same sort of lines that we did on the bottom of our flowers. With this lighter red. So as you guys are doing that, I'm going to start mixing my next color, and we're going to take engine red, and we're going to put just a tiny touch of white. So we're getting an even lighter red. Because like I said, we're going to try to keep building up this color. We started with our dark burgundy, and then we built it up to our bright red, and now we're going to go even lighter than that. We're going to start going into the pink side of it. We want to keep getting lighter and lighter as we're adding these petals. So you can see here, I'm just adding a tiny bit of white as we go. I'm just adding a little bit of white at a time so I can see if I like it or not. So now we have this nice sort of pale red. We're not quite at pink yet, which is okay. We're going to get there. We have this nice pale red color. I'm just going to keep these off so you guys, I can keep holding up for you guys. So you see that there? This is the color we just mixed, and we did engine red, and then we added a little bit of white, and we mixed this color here, which is just a nice pale red. It's not quite pink, but it's going in that direction. Hopefully you guys can see that. That's the color we need next, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be lighter than whatever your last color was. I'm going to take that, and we're going to start adding more layers to our flowers. So here, I'll show you my little practice ones. we're gonna start adding some lines in the top. So again, we're just overlapping our old lines. We're gonna do a line that follows the top edge of our flower shapes. I'll show you on here. So you can start to see that better on my canvas. It's really starting to stand out against the darker reds. So a nice line on the top, following the shapes of each of the different flowers. And as we get a little bit lighter, it's going to start being bolder and bolder and more noticeable as we are adding, oops, a lot of paint, as we are adding each sort of petal as we go. Okay, so you can see I went and I added lines to the top of the flowers with that pale red color. You can really start to see the difference now. How's everybody's looking?
Good. Everyone's painting along.
Awesome. So if you want, we're going to take, or not if you want, the next step, if you're ready, I should say. God, keep laughing at me. I keep saying weird stuff tonight.
If you want to finish this painting.
If you want to keep painting, hopefully you want to keep painting. So the next step, if you're ready, I should say, we're going to take this exact same color. We're not going to mix a new color just yet. I haven't cleaned off my brush. I just wiped off some excess paint. Still have my little round brush. Still have my pale red. And we're going to go just inside this line here. So I'll show you on my big flower. So look real quick. Where we have this medium red here, we're going to go just inside of that. Can you see that there? Just a nice little line. So we have this sort of subtle red line that we did on the bottom. We're going just inside of that line. Can you see that, Kira?
Yes.
I want to make sure everyone at home can see it.
Yeah,
so
that helps.
Just inside that line there. You can see we're really starting to get rose shapes now. We're going just inside that first line we did. And I'm just sort of using the tip of my brush. I'm making this one a little bit thinner. I'm just sort of using the tip of my brush to get this thin line. Never painted at this angle before. If you can see the front screen, I look really crazy right now. We're going just inside that first line we did. And this is a good step to really, like I said, see these roses coming along. They're kind of you're starting to be able to tell what they were. If you were to just walk into the room and see this painting for the first time, you might be thinking, oh, these are roses, as opposed to just red blobs. You don't want to forget about the ones we have going off the edge, just inside that first line we did. So go ahead and take a minute and do that for your roses.
Yes, to remember, if you are not painting along or you need to go back and watch this, you can go to michaels.com on the community classroom page, and you can check out this painting. It usually takes about 24 hours. This painting will be up, and then all the past ones that we've had with Let's Paint will be available for you. So lots of good ones.
Yeah. You've got a nice little library going on michaels.com now. All right. So we're going to kind of keep on trucking. We're going to keep this momentum. We're going to take this pale red that we have, and we're going to use that. So I'm going to grab a big scoop of it, and I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to add some more white. We're going to lighten it even more. We're going to keep going. So I just started with the last color I did. I try to scoop up as much as I can, and I'm just going to add more white to get an even lighter color. And now we're really starting to get into the pinks. The pink sort of side of the rose. You can see it's much lighter. So we have this really light, sort of bubblegum color. Just a nice pink color. So we took our pale red and we took a scoop of that and we added some more white to it. So we have this nice bubblegum pink color.
Yep, I think we're good. I love that, you know, folk art has so many colors, but you can also create like such a beautiful palette just with a couple of paints that you have there, which is really great.
Yeah, folk arts are really great for mixing. They really don't get muddy at all. You can mix, like, I always say this, if you have red, blue, yellow, and white, you can pretty much mix any colors that you want. You can do really any of the paintings. Okay, so we have this nice bubblegum pink color. So we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going with our little petal shapes, and we're gonna go just inside of these ones that we just did. So here, I'll show you the big one again. I'm gonna do a line following the top, and then a line following the bottom. So we're gonna keep going with this little technique that we've been doing. And we can sort of overlap it too. If it goes over it a little bit, that's totally fine. We like the layering for these because, of course, petals in a rose absolutely would be layered. So we can do some overlapping as well. We just want to keep it sort of towards the top of our flower. You can see I'm not really like being super careful either. I'm not making perfect little lines. We don't want it to be perfect. We want it to look natural.
Thank you for painting like that. I'm sure it's super comfortable.
No problem. Let's say we could try to set it up next time so is this zoomed in, but then the camera would be like in my face.
In your face, yeah. I think it's good.
Okay, so I hope you guys can see that. We're still layering, we're building up those colors. It's getting lighter and lighter, and it's sort of coming towards the center where it's going to start being really light. They do kind of look like lips, don't they? We'll add some more petals so they look less like lips. I keep seeing those comments pop up. Right now they kind of do, you're right. So now you all know how to paint lips too.
2 for 1.
Yeah, there you go. So we're gonna hang on to this bubblegum pink color that we've mixed. And we have the same brush. I haven't cleaned it yet, still using the number 5 round. We're gonna add a couple more petals with this color because you can see there's lots of pink, light pink petals going on in here. We're gonna add a couple more for more detail. So we're gonna make some really thin petals and we're gonna keep them all towards the top half of our roses. And the reason we're gonna do that is because you want our roses to look like they're sort of tilted up. That's sort of the angle we're looking at these roses. So the light would be hitting them on top. So all of the topmost petals are gonna be lighter. That's gonna be our highlight. So here, I'll show you what I mean. Still using our bubblegum pink color. I'm gonna make some more petals just on the inside of these petals, and I'm sticking towards the top. So more petals up here, and maybe I'll even do a couple over that one since I've got room. Maybe I'll do a couple petals over here. Let me just hold it up again. So maybe I'll do a little petal here. I'm sticking towards the top of my flowers, like I said, because that's where all the light would be hitting it. There wouldn't be light hitting the bottom. But I do want to have some more details. It can be a little irregular too. You don't have to do the same shapes for each flower. We're making them all look a little different now. You can see I'm sticking toward the top half of my roses. I'm not painting any on the bottom half. I want that to stay dark. We're just painting little petals here and there. If there's room on the top, you can fit a petal in there. You can Do some on the side if you've got room. They're starting to become more unique now. And again, we're sticking to these same shapes that we've been doing. We're just building it up. So hopefully you can see that there. They're starting to look a little more rosy. So I just added a couple more petals on each flower, either on the sides or on top. But again, I kept them all on the top half of the flower. Any more questions, Kira? Everybody doing okay?
Yeah, everybody's just painting along, trying to keep up. Everyone's saying great job explaining, and they're all going to go back and watch if they need to.
Oh, good.
Yeah, everybody's good.
Awesome. Okay. So the next step is I'm going to grab my hot pink. So if you've joined our painting classes before, I really like to just add sort of like surprise bursts of color sometimes. So you don't have to do this hot pink part, but I'm going to add some hot pink to my flowers just to make them a little more bright, a little more modern looking. But again, if you want to keep yours more classic, if you want to keep yours just like sort of classic roses, feel free to skip this step. So you can see I have this really bright hot pink color here. You can use like Parisian pink or bright pink. So I'm just going to add some more petals, and I'm sort of going to follow where these light petals are. So still the same brush, still my number five round. And I'm just going to put a couple hot pink petals on each of my roses. And again, I'm going to stay towards the top because this is a light color. And I just want to add a couple on each, just sort of like a bright pop of color. Like I said, I like to make it a little more modern looking. So that's why I like to add sort of just surprise pops of color every once in a while.
And if you don't have a hot pink, you could use like a magenta, and you could just add some white to it.
Yeah, you definitely get a nice light pink color for sure. Hot pink is like one of these colors, especially in acrylic paints, where it's tricky to mix because it's got, I feel like it almost has like some neon pigments in it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of hard to recreate with just colors. I know I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth. I just said you can mix any color, and then I pulled out this color that is tricky to mix. But Kira's right. I know, except this one. If you have like a true magenta and you mix it with white, you'll definitely get something similar. Kira's totally right. But this one just has like sort of that neon undertone, which I love.
You could even use like a fuchsia. It might get a little purple on you, but it would still work, and I think that's fine.
Totally. And maybe even add like a touch of yellow to it too to make it even a little brighter, just like a tiny dab of yellow if you're mixing it. So again, I'm sticking on the top half of my flower still because this is a light color, and I want all my light to be on the top half. And I just like to add that little pop of color, just really fun. But like I said, if you want to keep yours more classic, that is totally fine too. It is your painting. Okay, so we're getting toward the end of our roses. We have all of our lights sort of coming to a point towards the top, and we're going to add a little bit of darkness back into the centers. You can see here, we kind of want to make sure that we have those centers again, because of course there's going to be some darkness in the center of our roses. So to do that, if you've got some of this burgundy still on your palette, you use that. Mine's all gone and dry, so I'm going to mix some more. And again, it was engine red with a little bit of navy blue. This was that first color that we mixed, that we painted all of our rose shapes with. So we want to mix some more of that. So again, it was engine red with a touch of navy blue. This first color that we mixed, we're going to remix it a little bit. Again, I'm going to get rid of that excess paint. And we're just going to dab this a little bit in the center of each. And by center, I mean top center. Because don't forget, we're pretending like these roses are tilted up a little bit. So we're going to dab them in the top center. We want to make those dark again. And all I'm doing is just dabbing my brush. Here, I'll show you on my palette. You look real quick. I'm just dabbing my brush like that to create a little area of darkness. So I'm just taking my paint and I'm going in the center of the rose and I'm just dabbing it like that, just to add some darkness in. That's all we're doing, nothing fancy. And again, I'm going towards the top middle because that's where the center of our roses are. We still have to paint our greenery, which is really honestly pretty similar to the way we've painted these roses, in the way that we're going to be building the colors up. Just instead of red, it's going to be with green. So we're going to just sort of breeze through it a little, because you guys all kind of know how to build those colors up now, how to get that dimension and that detail just by building colors up, making them lighter and lighter and lighter as you go. That's really the same technique we'll be doing for our greenery.
Yeah, it is hard. You know, some people are like, slow down, and other people's like, let's go, it's getting late. So again, lots of the options. If you need to pause because you need to go, you can always pick back up and watch this on michaels.com. Or if you are slow and you need to go back and, you know, get some of the details and the instructions, again, the video is available. So we try to keep like a happy medium for everybody.
I know. I try not to go too overtime, but I also don't want to rush for the people who take a little bit longer. So I'm sorry if it was a little slow for you guys, and I'm sorry if it was a little fast for you guys. It was just right, kind of like Goldilocks. All right. Okay, so I'm going to sort of switch my palette around because I have this nice clean part on top, because I'm going to start mixing some greens. So first I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab, I have Hunter Green here, which is a nice dark green color. So we're going to use this as our darkest green. So just like we mixed that burgundy color, this is already our darkest. We don't need to mix it this time. We're going to start adding colors to this to lighten it as we go. All right. So to start, we are going to decide where we want our leaves to be. So as you can see here in our final painting, we've got some leaves sort of jutting out from our bouquet of flowers. It's sort of like I imagine this kind of like a garland of roses or something. We've got these leaves jutting out. So we're going to decide where we want those leaves to be. And to do that, we're just going to go ahead and paint them in. So don't be scared, it's going to be fine. People get really intimidated by just painting with their paintbrush without drawing at first, but I promise it'll be okay. I'm sure your roses all look great. So we still have our number 5 round brush. We haven't switched it. I did clean it because I'm switching to green, but our number 5 round brush. So I'm going to decide, of course, I'm going to do just sort of classic leaf shapes. So I'll show you on my palette. I'm going to paint shapes like this. So just classic leaf shapes. It's going to be a little bit wider, and then it's going to get a little more tapered towards the end. So our leaf shapes are going to be just like that, almost sort of like diamondish, just classic leaf shapes. So again, like I said, we're going to have them sort of coming out from between the roses. So kind of like this, I'll show you how I'll start adding mine. I'm going to do a leaf here, sort of coming out from those roses. Maybe I'll do a leaf here, coming out from between those roses. And if you do feel more comfortable using a pencil, you can feel free to grab a pencil and sketch your leaves in first. I know a lot of people feel more comfortable sort of laying out a composition when they use a pencil, and that's totally fine. You can absolutely do that. But I'm just sort of seeing where there's a gap, and I'm putting a leaf in there. So there's a gap there, there's a gap in some of these other places, and that's kind of how I'm deciding where I want my leaves to go. Big gap there, so I'll put a leaf. You can even do some double leaves. I'll add another little guy there next to him. Maybe another one there too. How's everybody doing with their leaves? Everybody doing okay?
Yeah, everybody is asking that you're just using Hunter Green, which is correct. And then if you need to make a dark green, you can add a dark, like navy blue or black to a lighter shade of green to create a dark green.
Absolutely, yep. You can get a very similar color, like Kira said, if you take like just like a pure green and add navy blue. That's the perfect thing to do. And if you don't have navy blue, black is a good substitute, but navy blue would be the best way to mix this color. All right, maybe another couple leaves here and there. I want it to look nice and full. I don't want there to be a lot of open space. So that's what we're trying to add now. So once I have my leaves, you can see I just sort of decided where there was some open space, some gaps, and I painted my leaves in there. And now all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fill them in. I still have the same brush. I'm just gonna fill them in so they're solid green. Nothing fancy, we just want them to be a solid color.
Can you hear me typing? I'm always worried everybody can hear me typing.
A little bit, but not bad, don't worry. It's not loud. I know Kira's always typing away so quickly, trying to answer all of your questions as they come in.
You know, it's amazing. Like, we've got so many great people that have been joining us. Like, they can answer also, which is awesome. I'm like, that's right. You got it. Be out of a job. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. That's why it's called
do love that.
Classrooms.
Yeah.
It really is a community. That's awesome.
I love it.
That's very cool. All right. So once we have our leaves painted in, we're still using our number 5 round brush, and we're still using our hunter green color. I'm just gonna start painting in between the roses, and I'm not doing anything fancy. You can see I just wanna add color between the roses. So I'm just gonna start painting in just right around them. If you leave a little bit of white, that's okay. You can go right up to the roses. I'm not even gonna be super careful because we're gonna add some more color and some more texture to this, but I just want between the roses to be green. I don't want it to be white. We're gonna go between the roses. And you can see I'm not going outside of the roses. I just wanna sort of be between where the roses are touching. I'm not gonna go like around the roses because that really wouldn't make sense. What would that be? That would be, you know, that wouldn't really be how it would look in nature. So just between the roses, we want to look like there's greenery like behind the roses in this bouquet. Just again, just adding color. I'm not being like terribly careful. I just want that all to be green back there. So it sort of grounds them. It doesn't look like they're floating in midair anymore. Again, we're using our number 5 round brush, and we're still using hunter green. We're just sort of going between the roses on the inside.
It's funny to watch, like on my end, because I'm not painting and I'm just watching, but it's like we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there, and like, boom, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, finished painting. Like, I just looked down from the chat, and I was like, oh, wow, there's leaves. It's beautiful.
Yep, we're coming towards the end here. It's true. When you compare them, it really is starting to look more like the final painting. So again, all we've got down now is our hunter green. We just want to sort of lay that color down, and we're going to start, like I said, building it up and building it up, just like we did with the petals, and adding that dimension and that detail. So I'll give you guys just a second to catch up. I know that was a little bit quick. All right, so those of you who are starting to catch up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some of our medium yellow to our palette. So again, any sort of just pure yellow color will work for this. If you've got bright yellow or daffodil yellow, anything like that, any just really pure yellow is perfect for this. It doesn't have to be the same exact one as me. And this is the color that we're going to use to start lightening some of our green. So we're going to grab some of our hunter green. I'm going to grab a little glob of it. Oh, that was a close one. This is why you should always wear an apron when you're painting. So we're going to grab some hunter green, and we are going to mix in some of our medium yellow to get a lighter green. So hopefully, I think you guys, it's probably hard for some people to see because of the chat, so I'm going to move it up a little.
It's funny. I was like, Jesse, you look so pretty. You said, because I don't have on my Let's Paint t-shirt.
I don't have paint on you. Right? Could you imagine the first night that I don't wear my Let's Paint t-shirt, I just, smear paint all over my shirt? That would happen to me. I never, ever, ever paint here without an apron on, except for these classes. This is the only exception, and so far so good. I haven't made too much of a mess, but I'm gonna jinx myself. All right, so you guys can see, hopefully, here, I'll hold it up. We took our hunter green, which is this color, right out of the tube. And then we have our medium yellow here, and we mix it together to get this nice medium green color. All right. So the first thing we're doing is we're gonna start adding some highlights to our leaves to make it a little simple. So just like we did for our petals, like I said, we're gonna start building it up. So we're gonna paint some of this lighter green on the top halves of our leaves. So for these top ones, it's gonna be at the point, and on the bottom ones, it's gonna be at the base of the leaf, because no matter where the leaf is on our painting, it's gonna be the top half, because that's where the light would be hitting it. So I'll show you. I'm gonna paint some light green up here on this leaf. Should I hold it up again? I know it's a little bit tiny. So I'm gonna paint some light green here, right on the top half, right at the point. And see, I'm just gonna paint it at the point of the leaf. And then for the bottom leaves, it's going to be at the base of the leaf, because that is the top half. So this guy's a little sideways. So the top half here, this guy's a little sideways. So the top half of him is going to kind of be the side of the leaf, but that's where the top part is. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Hopefully I'm explaining that clearly. So regardless of how the leaf is oriented on your canvas, you're going to paint the top half with the green, the light green. And now with this green color, we're gonna hang on to this medium green. We're gonna go through and we're gonna kind of paint like we did the rose petals, and we just wanna add some variation to the greens between the flowers. So we're gonna pretend like we're painting rose petals. We're gonna just kind of fake the greenery behind it almost, just to give you sort of the perception that there's greenery behind these roses. We're not gonna paint every single detail. We just want it to look like there's dimension back there. So we're gonna kind of just pretend like we're painting the rose petals and just paint some almost random lines of this light green in this green area behind the roses. Just again, to give it some detail and dimension. We don't want it to just be flat hunter green because that would be boring and it wouldn't look real. We want it to have a little bit of detail. So we're kind of painting it just like we painted the rose petals. Just those squiggly lines sort of following the shapes of the roses. And we're just sort of painting them randomly, just adding in some of this color. Not too much, just enough so you definitely can see that green in there. Okay, so once we've done that, we're gonna hang on to this medium green. We're gonna grab a scoop of it and we're gonna paint, or we're gonna add even more of our medium yellow. So we want an even lighter green. So we're really building this up, again, just how we did our reds. We want a much lighter green. We're going for almost a lime green now. We want it to be pretty light. We're just about to wrap it up. We're just getting to the last couple of details here. So again, I'm wiping off the excess. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to go in the light areas again. And I'm going to go just with the tip of my brush, even further towards the top and layer it on top of that medium green we did. Do you see how I'm doing that there? Just the very tip of my brush. And I'm going on top of that medium green, wherever we placed that on the top half of our leaves. And just layering it up again, just how we did the roses. And then again, I'm gonna add some of this lime green color in amongst the background green color, just so we have, again, some variation and some variety in the color, and just so it looks a little more real. We don't want it to look flat. Could almost be like vines behind it or something. We just want it to look like it's a really full bouquet filled with greenery. Again, I'm just sort of randomly adding it in there. Just little pops here and there. And we're coming up on our last step of this painting. So after you've added that very light green, we're gonna grab some of our navy blue. If you have some on your palette, that's good. But if not, I'm gonna add some fresh navy blue. And we're gonna use this as our darkest color for our green. Oops. So this is going to be the shadow color. So I still have my number 5 round brush. We're gonna take our navy blue and we are going to paint this on the bottom halves of our leaves. So the very bottom tips of our leaves, we're painting the navy blue. And that just gives it sort of a dramatic pop for our shadows. And again, on the top part, it would be the base of the leaves because that's the bottom part on these leaves. You can see how it gives it so much dimension. We're just painting lines on there. You can see it looks like it's dimensional now. It's not so flat. It's a really simple way to paint something like this. And then again, we're gonna take this color and we're gonna add just a little bit of it around our flowers. Just create a little bit of darkness and give it some more detail. Just a little bit, we don't wanna add too much. All right, and that is it for our rose painting. So make sure you guys, you can grab one of these small brushes, the liner brush from your Craft Smart pack, and make sure you sign your painting. And that is it for our rose painting.
Yay,
Thank
love
you guys
it.
so much. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Again, we hope to see you next Monday for our Farmhouse Pumpkins. It's the same time next week. And I know Kira's got a lot of stuff to close us out.
Yeah, no, thank you everybody. Just the nicest comments. And I was just thinking, I wish there was like a like button, like when you text. But yeah. Thank you everybody so much. It means a ton to us that you're here and you're spending your time with us. Thank you, Michaels, for having us, if Michaels is still listening. Don't forget to get all your awesome folk art product at Michaels, michaels.com, in store, however you can get that and you can paint along with us. Again, we've got Farmhouse Pumpkins next week, so we're really excited. We'll be here next Monday, and I'm going to pick a quick winner.
Woohoo!
And I'm going to butcher your name.
Good.
I know. Awful. Right. I'm going to do it wrong. Can I spell it?
Yes. Yeah, put it in the chat. Try to spell it. That's good.
So it's Nitya.
Nitya?
Yeah. I don't know.
Congratulations. Oh, I saw her. Awesome.
So what you need to do is go to our Plaid Facebook page and direct message us and let us know that you were watching a Michael's class and that you won, and we will go ahead and get you product out to you for your prize. So excited. I know you're a regular, so I'm excited that you got to win tonight.
Yeah, congratulations. And thanks for joining. Thanks for being a regular.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, thank you guys. Have a good rest of the week. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. We'll see you Labor Day.
Bye.